Today I'm paying tribute to the great Brian Wilson, the first listen to one of his personal favourites from the late 60s. So join me for Friends by the Beach Boys. Well, the world of rock and pop has lost one of its true titans. I'm recording this just a few hours after hearing the sad news that Beach Boys founder and mastermind Brian Wilson has passed away at the age of 82. Full disclosure, I'm not and never really have been a massive Beach Boys fan, but only a complete fool, which I'd like to think I'm not, would deny the enormous impact Brian had on popular music. His loss will be deeply felt by musicians and music lovers around the world for a long time to come. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm JSB and I listen to music. One of the things I've been doing this year is checking out songs that hit number 25 in the charts in honor of the year being 2025. It all makes sense. So I was literally scanning my list for a song to do when the news broke, and sadly and suddenly, the Beach Boys' Friends stuck out as the only possible choice. So this will be a first-time listen for me, and I hope will serve as a fitting tribute to the late, great Brian Wilson. Before I hear it, though, a little bit of context for you. Friends was the title track from the 14th studio album by the Beach Boys, released in 1968. It was also the only single from that album, and while it didn't do much commercially in the US, stalling at 47, it did hit 25 in the UK, which is why it's on my list. So it wasn't a major hit at the time, but it has become something of a cult fan favourite, and notably, Brian at the time called it his favourite track from the album. He was particularly fond of it because of the humour contained within the track. So hopefully we'll have a bit of light-hearted fun with him on this one. As I say, I don't know the track, so I can't be sure. Musically, it's in 3/4 time, and Brian had mentioned again at the time that there weren't many waltzes on the radio, so this was his way of keeping them alive. So let's keep both the waltz and the spirit of Brian alive by diving into Friends. Here we go.
We've been friends now for so many years. We've been together through the good times and the tears. And each other onto the good things that life has to give. We drift apart for a little bit of a spell. One night I get a call and I know that you're well. And days I was down, you would help me get out of my home. You told me when my girl was untrue. I loaned you money when the funds weren't too cool. I talked your folks out of making you cut off your head. We've been friends now for so many years. We've been together through the good times and the tears. Dim dimply, dim dimple-eye, dim dimple-oo,
Yeah. All right, that was Friends by the Beach Boys, and sadly Spotify didn't have the lyrics, so I had to look those up myself. I particularly like the last verse. You told me when my girl was untrue. I loaned you money when the funds weren't too cool. I talked your folks out of making you cut off your hair. See, that's true friendship right there, especially in the 60s. Now, it was also Carl Wilson on lead vocals, which for me is how the Beach Boys should pretty much always be. Yeah, I love Carl, and he sounded great here. The harmonies, of course, from Brian and Al and Dennis. No Mike Love. I'll say why in a moment. Fabulous. Just a glorious wall of sound of the harmonic nature, not the Phil Spector nature, but Beach Boy style. Tasty. So I mentioned that Brian, Carl, Dennis, and Al were all singing on there. They also actually co-wrote it together, though you have to assume most of it was Brian, because it usually was. And they had actually recorded it in 4/4 time first before Brian rearranged it to make it waltzy. And yeah, it did have a little bit of a dance groove. You can see that it was out of time though, so I'm not surprised it wasn't a big hit. But that's the thing with songs being released, and they can only fit into the exact time frame that they're in. But really, a good song's a good song, wherever it's from and whatever it fits in. And this is a good song, so I'm glad I had to listen to it, even if the reasons for it aren't the happiest. But yeah, fitting tribute, I do hope. So RIP again, Brian, and for those really feeling this loss, which I expect will be most of you, I feel you. And your love for his music, though, means it will live on, and a part of him with it. So keep listening and keep smiling. Now, as I mentioned, Mike Love wasn't on this track, and if anyone was wondering where he was off in India still with the Maharishi and the Beatles. So he wasn't about to appear on this particular track, though he did come back shortly afterwards and is on the bulk of the album, from what I understand. But if you do need a bit of light relief, Mike has shown up on this channel before, making a bit of a tit of himself at the Beach Boys Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. So that clip is up and about if you need it at this point in your life. Either way, thanks so much for watching today, and bye for now, but I do hope not for long.
Acting is reacting. This does not mean acting again.